ends up in that place. And no one else does. Just him for whatever reason. And then you don't even
No,
know...
that doctor invented that thing and it brought him over there.
Invented what thing?
That laser thing.
But
that,
why
like,
him?
Was that just random?
Yeah,
Alright.
that was just random. That sort of makes sense.
It doesn't make sense that Gabriel Byrne makes Cool World, and yet he's like 40 years
They
younger.
said that he didn't make it. They said that he was arrogant because he thought he had made it.
But
No,
But
but
I
he
mean,
drew all
he
the
did
characters.
draw the
I know he
characters.
was. They said he was like having visions of it.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess everything makes sense.
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm
You know,
saying
also,
they did
What was
explain
the
that.
spike?
I don't know. They do not explain that.
The only thing that can upset the balance of the universe is if they have sex.
it doesn't make sense that she wants to be a human more than anything in the world, and then at the end she becomes a cartoon and she
I know,
wants
it's
Yeah,
to.
like-
Spike
It's
is
like
cool.
they changed at that point.
No.
From where she
This is how,
didn't
because-
always want to be human. She wanted cartoons in the real world. But it wasn't that way until the end of the movie.
It doesn't make
No,
sense
no,
that she
but-
had a southern accent a quarter of the time. Also,
But whenever she got the spike, it brought cartoons into the real world, and then it just took it over. Like, they didn't ever get reversed.
It
like,
only brought all the dead cartoons, though.
dead cartoons.
Which apparently don't exist, so I don't understand that either. Because cartoons don't die.
And
Also, what doesn't make sense is Brad Pitt didn't like Cartoonland because the real world had loneliness. But then you saw his girlfriend walk around and she was lonely in Cartoonland.
it doesn't make sense that humans getting killed by a cartoon, which has never happened before in the real world, obviously makes them
Everyone
cartoons.
knows that law.
I mean, the whole ending, when the spike was replaced, it sent some of the cartoons back to Cartoonland, some of them into a comic book, and some of them
Just
stayed
stayed.
in the real world.
Kind of indiscriminately.
What are some other things that don't make sense?
How Paramount forced Ralph Bakshi to make this movie.
How?
Poor guy. This was his last movie, too. He
Oh,
didn't make another movie after this because this destroyed him. He didn't want to make any more movies.
It
it doesn't make sense to me that those bunnies exist in Cool World.
Yeah, they were all
Why is that one family of adorable bunnies amongst all the rest of those terrible
Okay.
creatures?
So that those guys will have someone to be terrible to.
I guess so. Is that all?
I'm sure there's more.
It's so terrible. And I hate it.
It's terrible.
It's kind of fun, though.
I don't know. Like, I honestly think that is the worst movie I've ever seen. Because
It's nauseating.
Yeah,
I
it
just-
is.
Because it makes me just feel like I'm just repulsed by it.
I think it's...
It's just,
I've been having so much fun with you guys. Though,
no,
watching this.
I'm really enjoying bitching about it right now. But, man.
And some of the animation looks cool.
Yeah.
Very little.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I do.
I like some of the animation.
That's why I
just
said
think
very
the
little.
Story leaves a lot to be desired. And Brad Pitt leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I usually like
That's the
that
first time
guy.
anyone's ever said that, I bet.
I know. He really sucks in this.
Yeah. Really, really
Okay.
bad.
You're not
Another thing that doesn't make sense is whenever, after she became human and she would like go flash back to being a doodle, she was a totally different doodle.
Until she got on top of the casino, and then she was
Yeah.
turning into the way she usually looked again.
That didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that Gabriel Byrne completely changed at the end into a completely different voiced person and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was him, really.
Yeah,
And
I don't
how
even think
all of a sudden
makes
he
any
could
sense.
just make his hands really long.
And,
Even though that never.
and the main part of the ending, Gabriel Byrne and Kim Basinger were the main characters for the entire movie. But then at the end, they really focused on what happened to Brad Pitt, and it was just like, oh yeah, we should probably explain what happened to Gabriel Byrne too. and then they didn't even really explain it. They just showed that scene.
I like that it kind of had 3 endings, and the fact that it ends Brad Pitt and them well, and then the heart goes up, and then that one cartoon says, "Have a nice life!" And then it looks like it's the end, and it should go
And
to
then
credits, and then it cuts to Gabriel Byrne and
It was almost
Kim
like they
Basinger.
remembered at that point. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We didn't show anything. with
Longer
Gabriel
than the
Byrne.
Return of the King ending.
I feel like
And AI.
whenever he popped out of the heart and said, "Have a nice life," it was like he might as well just like popped out and like put a curse on us. Like, he just like starts talking backwards Latin.
It's like he knew that our lives were slightly ruined
I
from
know.
watching this movie.
And just think, this is like the 3rd time I've seen this entire thing.
David, what's wrong?
Did you enjoy it the first 2 times?
Yeah, I enjoy it every time. I don't think it's a good movie, but I enjoy watching it, especially with other people. I think it's fun to watch with other people.
Oh man.
Andy has lied down to die. Lied down? Laid down. Land.
Has laid.
Really?
Has laid
You
down.
landed.
You'd probably just say
This dog is dead from this movie.
Too bad she wasn't killed by a cartoon, or she'd be in Cool World right now.
Oh, I'm glad for her that she wasn't then.
It's weird they didn't think about that situation earlier, and his girlfriend could have just gone with him to the real world and killed him there. And then they could have been together way earlier.
I don't understand how they have these rules when it's never happened before. How do they know all of this? And who created it? Was it all that
The
cartoon
scientists.
mustache
You
man?
just do a bunch of experiments and research. It's cartoon science, right?
Yeah, I believe in cartoons.
Here's something else that didn't make sense.
If I had a university, that class would be at it.
How whenever that cartoon Whisker Man, the doc scientist guy, whenever he was in the real world, he was wearing a coat that was not cartoon. But whenever Brad Pitt holds something in the cartoon world, it wasn't a cartoon, it was real.
Except for that cigarette.
Yeah, that's true. But his gun was real.
Yeah, where did he get that?
And real bullets.
And his
Exactly.
badge was cartoon.
And what happens to his poop? Whenever he poops, is it cartoon poop? Or is it...
I don't know.
Maybe he
What
doesn't
does he
poop. Why
eat?
doesn't he age
And what does
there?
he eat? Oh.
And how did the cartoon scientist even find the real world? He said that they had been watching it.
Well, they probably watch it like we watch Looney Tunes. Obviously.
They watch reality TV. Oh, my nose just cleared up.
It's a miracle. Cool World does provide miracles to make up for...
Ooh, I also liked it
What
whenever he
else do?
says, "This is cool world,"
Yeah.
or something like that.
I also like whenever Brad Pitt is touching any of the cartoon characters. That's
It
pretty
kinda
good.
goes like this. Or whenever he's massaging your shoulders and just going like this.
Yeah, he didn't even like act like he was squeezing. He just had his hands
I
there.
also hated it whenever Mason Yuri goes, "Baby, I love you, baby."
I think that as bad as this movie is, it could have been better simply by not having Kim Basinger in it.
Yeah, she might be one of the worst
Because it
actors.
is awful when it goes into... I mean, it is at least enjoyable just because it's a cartoon when they're in the real world or in Cool World, and then when it goes to the real world, it just is painful because it's Kim Basinger.
But I think it's slightly more disgusting to watch the cartoon her be all sexy all the time.
I would rather watch the cartoon her be sexy than actually her be sexy.
You'd rather see a cartoon orgasm. I just feel awkward
Than
doing
Kim
that.
Basinger orgasm.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
That's how it seems like
Like-
a middle school's perverted dream when
Yeah.
it's a cartoon.
I think that is what it is.
I think we can sum it up with that, right?
Cool World is a middle schooler's perverted dream or nightmare.
Oh, let's say that here.
All right. Cool World is a middle schooler's perverted nightmare.